Donahue is so universally popular. I was trying to find a reference point, maybe Mattis 10 years ago, but this guy is revered. He is respected from people of all backgrounds, and Trump's going to hear about it. And I think Hegseth's going to hear about it from Trump.
Joining us, founder and CEO of Independent Veterans of America and host of Independent Americans podcast, Paul Rieckhoff, and former FBI special agent and MS Now national security and intelligence analyst Christopher O'Leary. He previously worked closely with General Donahue. Chris, what's General Donahue like?
Exactly how you just described. He's the one of the finest soldiers in the U.S. military. He's had an incredibly distinguished career. In the U.S. Army infantry, as a young soldier after graduating from West Point, but then commanded at different levels. People best know him from his special operations career at the 75th Ranger Regiment, but then later as both an operator and commanding officer of the most premier special missions unit that the U.S. military has, where I work closely with him on a number of occasions. He has deployed countless times on behalf of this country, and he's got an incredible reputation and highly respected at every level as a leader, as a teammate, as a partner. He's just a selfless, and humble, individual who has served this country, and our national security will be less safe without him the day he walks off deck.
Let me give a little bit more. Spearheaded the modernization of the Army, pushing for the adoption of AI and drones, enabled the evacuation of as many as 124,000 Afghan allies, one of the largest airlifts in U.S. military history, oversaw the establishment of a partnership that supplied the Ukrainians with weapons, intelligence, and battlefield advice, established the Eastern Flank Deterrence Initiative, a warfighting concept and network of physical barriers, manned and unmanned weapon systems, advanced ground and airborne sensors, one-way attack drones, affordable drone interceptors, and other capabilities designed to defend NATO against Russia, and had strong backing from both Democrats and Republicans in the Senate, who saw him as the best choice to lead the Army. With a CV like that, why would Pete Hegseth sideline him?
For the same reason he went after somebody like Senator Kelly, because he's an extremely formidable opponent. And if he challenges him in any way, or contradicts him in any way, or offers ulterior guidance in any way, it's a threat to Hegseth's power. And I think this is really important, because Donahue is the best of the best. I mean, this guy is an elite level badass. And for a guy in Hegseth who talks about toughness and lethality and how our military needs to be this killing machine, I mean, this guy is the prototype for an American warrior. And the fact that Hegseth is taking him on, I think, is actually a mistake. He's gone too far. He's been purging all kinds of people, but this one's going to hit hard, because Trump's going to hear about this. Donahue is so universally popular. I was trying to find a reference point, maybe Mattis 10 years ago, but this guy is revered. He is respected from people of all backgrounds, and Trump's going to hear about it. And I think Hegseth's going to hear about it from Trump.
Why are you so confident in that?
Because
when does Donald Trump care about anybody over his loyalists?
I think he cares about his own popularity, and I think he cares about looking tough, and I think he cares about being in touch with the military. And I'm seeing people speak out that don't normally speak out on these kinds of issues. And I hope more people will speak out. I hope we hear from retired chairmen of the Joint Chief. I hope we hear from retired secretaries of defense. And I hope we hear from Donahue himself. Too many of these generals have been pushed out of the Pentagon, and then they go quietly. This is the kind of guy we need to be standing before the media and explaining what the hell happened, because especially as we're in a war with Iran and who knows who else, Donahue's exactly the kind of guy we need at the front.
I wonder if this has something to do with it. This is a Kevin Barron post back from March of 2023. Kevin Barron's been covering the Defense Department forever. He says Fort Bragg's top general, Lieutenant General Chris Donahue, again, this is from 2023, dismisses allegations that wokeism is weakening the military as BS. We're focused on people, warfighting, and making sure that we're prepared for the next fight. There ain't no woke here. I mean, Chris, could that be it?
It certainly could be. I do think, he probably intimidates the Secretary of Defense because Chris Donahue is a true leader and a true badass, but he would never pound his chest. He would never tell you all the things that he's done. He's a quiet professional, And I will tell you, the units he worked for and the units he led, they were as diverse as can be. And so his idea of wokeism is certainly not what Pete Hegseth thinks, because they will take people from any walk of life, but their standard is excellence. So if you meet the standard that they're looking for, they don't care where you came from or what your background is, and they'll train you and they'll work with you and they'll insist that you are a contributing member of the organization. That is drastically different. We are full of amateurs and people who embrace mediocrity and people who know nothing of leadership and mission accomplishment. And we're seeing it play out in front of us right now. And Chris Donahue is the polar opposite of that.
This is going to be a wild summer of politics, news, and elections. Primaries continue to roll on. We have the biggest midterms ever. The intersection of sports and politics is happening every single day. And you can trade on the biggest political races and activities on Kalshi. On Kalshi, you can trade major primaries, election outcomes, and the biggest political storylines as they happen, leading up to the biggest midterms ever. You can pick who's going to control Congress. You can pick who's going to win the Senate race in Maine, Graham Pletner or Susan Collins. You can bet on the World Cup. You can trade on the World Cup and much more. It's all on Kalshi. You're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use the code for this show, INDEPENDENT, and get $10 when you trade 10. Kalshi, Kalshi, where you can trade on anything, including just about everything you hear about here on Independent Americans. 18 and over only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Even contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see Kalshi.com/regulatory. But check out our friends at Kalshi, who are big supporters of Independent Americans, and go to Kalshi, where you can trade on just about anything, and they'll help you stay vigilant.
Let's talk a little bit about NATO. Mark Rutte was in the Oval Office yesterday trying to convince Donald Trump that NATO is still worth it. He's one of the only European leaders right now that is still speaking openly and favorably about Donald Trump, trying to preserve that relationship. We had a whole block yesterday about how even the far right is moving away from Donald Trump in Europe, seeing him as a liability and a drain on their own popularity, even with their voters who are nationalist. Let me play a little bit of Mark Rutte defending NATO to start with.
I want to show you what this president was able to achieve. And I start with this chart. This chart is about the Trump trillion. The Trump trillion shows you the increase Europeans and Canadians are paying into defense since you took office in 2017. I can assure you this is because of Russia, because of the threat, but I'm also absolutely convinced that you being president of the United States, being consistently pushing for something which since Eisenhower has not been achieved, which is the Europeans equalizing their defense spending with the United States, this is your evidence.
All right, here's how Donald Trump responded to the meeting just a little bit after that.
I just want their loyalty. We don't need their money. We don't need anything. We have the most powerful military in the world by far. But I just want loyalty. You know, we're so loyal to them. We're always fighting for them. We have thousands of troops all over Europe. In Germany, we have 50,000 troops. And then you want give us a little nudge, give us a little kiss. We don't want much. And they say, no, we can't do it.
Paul?
It's so ridiculous. Like to see Rutte up there, like with a board and trying to do the Trump thing, with showing the little graphics and playing the Trump game, and that's what he's trying to do, right? He's trying to do the nice way with Trump and trying to appease him.
Clearly checked his dignity.
Yeah, and
for the greater good.
Yeah, and I think it's really sad to see, because NATO shouldn't have to explain themselves. Rutte shouldn't have to explain and make the case for NATO. NATO's always been there for us and for freedom, and we should be there for them. But Trump has really gotten himself over a barrel here, because he needs NATO too, especially as he tries to continue this war in Iran Taiwan and whatever else he wants to do. He needs NATO right now, maybe more than NATO needs him. And I think it's another reason he's endangering our national security. And it's why so many Europeans are pushing back, because they know he's out of touch with, I think, our military. He's out of touch with the American people. And he's out of touch with the future of what strategic military planning is going to look like.
He's out of touch with Europeans across the board, from the left to the far right. Europeans do not like him. They do not see him favorably. They see Vladimir Putin more favorably than they see him. All right, Paul Rieckhoff, Christopher O'Leary, thank you very much, gentlemen.
He tells me the left and right are dreams for those without a clue. And when you wake, it's time to grow. And it's not cool to believe in school, but if I can say one thing, I've seen the children of the revolution and the good trouble they can bring. He says the red and blue identity, independent is an attitude. An island in the sea of rhetoric and archipelago. He tells me the left and right are dreams for those without a clue. And when you wake, it's time to grow.
Powered by Righteous Media.